Hey, yo, what's up? So, I wanted to talk about it being the new year, right? And the big new cope, right? How every year's kind of the same. It's not even this isn't even necessarily about, the whole New Year's and oh yeah, bro, it's a new time, right? It's a new me, right? Time to cope and stuff, right? It's new year, new me, whatever, right? It's kind of basically the today's the day cope, right? But just on a grander scale, where I think, oh, this year, this is the year, bro. This is the year, bro, right? Uh, the year where I'll finally get a girlfriend, right? Because I don't know why, but even though when I really and truly think about it, and I'm very realistic about how how everything's gone, right? So I know, oh, last year I lived my life and I didn't get any attention from girls, right? But this year will be different, right? This kind of stupid copes like that, right? Where my mind thinks that every day that I live is another day that it's closer to getting a girlfriend, right? So basically every day is like, oh, you just basically check it off, right? Oh, I got through today. Well, that's another day, one day closer to getting a girlfriend. Even though that I realize that's a complete cope, right? Just because a day passes doesn't mean I'm like one day closer to getting a girlfriend or something like that, right? Because that's not how it works. And there's no correlation between, oh, just go through life, bro. We just go one day at a time, bro. Every day that you go through, you're getting closer, right? Because eventually, it has to. Eventually, there's a day where you'll get a girlfriend, and if it's not today, maybe it'll be tomorrow. Then it just keeps on being like that. That Mr. Krabs things in that Mr. Crab thing in that like reverse SpongeBob world, right? Where it's like he says, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day, right? It's the same thing, right? My mind is the same way as that the evil naked Mr. Krabs, right? Where you just think the next day, right? I didn't get a girlfriend today, but maybe there's hope the next day, and then, oh, I guess not. How about the next day? The same thing with every year, every resolution or whatever. I don't make resolutions, or basically, on a more what is micro scale, right? Because thinking about it like every oh, new year, this is the year, bro. That's almost like on a macro scale, right? But on a micro scale, I think about every time I go outside, right? Like today, when I had to go outside to drop something off, what is it, at like a FedEx, you know, um, I think, oh, maybe for some weird reason, right? Today's the day I'll finally get a girlfriend that'll like me there, or when I go get gas at Costco, right? Think maybe today's day will some girl whatever finally like me at the Costco gas, or inside the store. I go get groceries and go to Costco. Is today the day that finally I'll get a girlfriend, right, at Costco, right? Or even worse, the one of the bigger copes, right? It's like, oh, bro, I just went to like, oh, I went to the gym today. Maybe then I'll find a cute girl that'll like me there, right? Or even I'll cope by, oh yeah, it's a new year. Maybe a new girl will have a resolution to go to the gym, and she'll have low enough standards and like me, right? Like, but no, it's weird. It's not even weird, right? Because it's very it's not weird. It's just normal for your mind to always think, to always find the hope, right? It it's basically a coping mechanism, right? So it's not really weird if you really think about it like that, right? Because is it really weird for if you're deprived and dehydrated, deprived of water and dehydrated? Are you like, it's those mirage, when people see, water in the desert, right? Is it really weird that they're gonna like hallucinate water? Like if they're if they're days without water, right? No, they're not, because they're dehydrated. It's like it's not weird. That's the case though. It's like today's the day, but that's what I think of the new year, right? It's like this is the year, but when I reflect and really think about it, it's like what is going to be different, right? Nothing. Like, is something actually going to change? No. Because people say, oh, bro, but you got to change, or you got to do something, or whatever. It's like, no, I really don't. Because that's not how relationships work. It's just people trying to moralize them. And, it goes back to that chat GPT thing, right? It's like, if relationships and, personality were actually the deciding thing, the bottleneck of whether people get into relationships or not, then, abusive people, awkward people, anxious people, all this stuff, shy guys, all this stuff that you can name a problem. Like, oh, bro, this is why I don't have a girlfriend. Well, guess what? There's a guy out in the world that has that same thing, that has that quality, but he has a girlfriend, right? It's all just because he is good enough for that girl, right? And that's the thing. Like I said before, the thing is you don't have to be perfect or a Chad or whatever to get a girlfriend. Thinking that is just a cope, right? But you cannot be not good enough. And the thing about that is, it's a criteria that each woman gets to set, for herself. And it can be arbitrary. It can be whatever she wants, right? It could be the most unreasonable thing, right? Oh, this guy isn't 6'2" and I don't know, and is doesn't have a perfect hairline. Then that might be the criteria or whatever, right? It changes from girl to girl, right? One of them, it can be height, one it can be hairline, one it can be body composition, the other it can be money or whatever it is. Like, it could be even something crazier, like, oh, he has to wear a certain style of clothes. It doesn't be a certain race, a certain skin tone, see it, like, drive a certain car. It doesn't matter. The thing is, you don't know, right? It seems kind of, it's basically random, right? Like, it's not random, but in reality, it basically seems random, because you have no control over what the criteria women impose to be good enough. You don't decide. Oh, it's like, oh yeah, today I'm just gonna run into women that, to be good enough for them, it is I be this, at least this tall, and have this much hair, and have this much money. It's like, no, it's random. Like, the type of women you meet, right? You don't get to decide that, so you can't even prepare for it. You can't. There's no way to do it. You can't go like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna go to a place where women are only attracted to the type of guy that I'm. It's like, no, that just doesn't work. Because even if they say, oh yeah, I'm attracted to, what is it, nerdy loser guys, right? It's like, well, that's not exactly the case necessarily, right? You don't even know if that's actually true, because they can say that, but what they actually might mean in practice is just a tall, hot guy with glasses, right? And that's what a nerdy loser guy to them is, like, just a tall guy with glasses. And I'm not, that may be true to some extent, right? That kind of reminds me of the story of being in a running club, right? I think I talked about it only on the other channel. A running club in college, right? I took the advice. They said, "Oh, bro, just join a club," right? So when I was a freshman and I joined it, I just joined the club, right? An easy, was it a low barrier to entry club, whatever? It's like, sure. I did that, and then I ended up kind of befriending two guys in it, and I don't even remember. I don't think I've talked about it here yet. Maybe I did. But one of the guys that I befriended with, eventually there was a girl, I guess, in that club that I guess I didn't talk to him about girls or anything, right? We just talked about, the classes we had, and whatever, and being freshmen and whatever, and all this stuff, right? So there was some was it that was our common ground, being freshmen, being new to the school and all this stuff, and talk about classes and bullshit like that. But there was a girl in that class, and I didn't talk to her, right? Because this is I just don't talk to girls unless they initiate, and they never do. Ha ha ha. So I had a crush on her because I thought she was cute or whatever, and but I guess, like I said, we didn't talk about girls because at that point, I didn't talk about girls to anyone because it's like, what's the point? Like, I just keep it to myself. Um, but I guess he liked her, and eventually, though, they both of them started talking, right? And it's weird, right? So I knew the guy, and he knew me, and that guy talked to that girl, and but we even when we were standing each other, so it'd be like I would be standing here, he could be standing in the middle, and the girl there, and it would almost be like I could we'd be, I guess, technically in a group there, but they would talk among together, and I'd just be third wheeling on the side. I don't know why the camera just did a weird flip thing, whatever. But I would basically be third wheeling there, and that's pretty brutal, isn't it? And then eventually we just kind of stopped being friends. Like we didn't like get into an argument or anything. We just kind of slowly drifted apart because how I don't even know if I've talked about it here, but it's like the main reason I always lose friendships is because the guy that I'm friends with, eventually drifts off, and basically gets a girlfriend, and basically leaves me and disappears, right? And I never really try to like argue with them or do whatever, and like, oh yeah, bro, no, don't leave him, you're trying to leave me to get laid or whatever. It's like, no, I just leave him because there's no point, right? There's no point in trying to just to nag someone and to force them to be with you, right? It's like the same thing with women, right? You can't negotiate attraction, you can't negotiate friendship, right? Why would you want to be friends with someone who you have to almost force to be friends with you? Like, why would you want a girlfriend who you have to force to hang out and talk to you and want to be with you, right? It's like, it just makes no sense. So yeah, then I just stopped talking to him, and then obviously if I don't reach out to them, they're not gonna reach back out to me, basically just because I don't have a vagina, right? Honestly, it's always how you always say, oh bro, you got mogged by this guy, right? It's like I legit get mogged by women in terms of friendships like that, just because I don't have a vagina. That's the straight up truth, and um, that's a brutal reality. That's why it's actually easier just to be friends with other guys who also are undesirable to women, because then I don't lose my friends basically over not having a vagina, right? It's the brutal truth. And I guess the other guy, he was I guess I thought we could be friends, and because we had a similar personality of both being um like shy, quiet kind of guys, but him being like that, it made me I felt like more I hate the term, but I don't know what else to use to get people to understand I felt more confident, so I would be able to be more outgoing and basically initiate and be more assertive in our conversations and talk, because I thought, okay, well, we both have a similar personality, and he's not really going to be that big of an initiator, but since I know we already get along, I guess I don't really mind initiating and doing that, because like I guess I can understand where he's coming from, because like I said, similar personalities. But the thing is, some guys will be like, "Oh, bro, that's why I don't be friends with tall guys, right?" But yeah, he was like maybe like he was taller than me, so he was like maybe 6'2", 6'3" ish or whatever, and a white guy. So then you'll be like, "Oh, bro, then it's over, bro. Why would you hang out with a tall white guy? He who's at least at least what is it like minimum I don't even know. He probably, I guess he was at least, worst case, he'd be at least average. So, with just being tall and white and average face, so he will have, there's going to be girls that like him, just straight up. There's really no way around it. And yeah, girls would, when we were together, just like talking or standing there, girls would just come up and talk to him, right? And basically ignore me, like I didn't even exist. They wouldn't even acknowledge my existence. That isn't that kind of that's brutal, to be honest, right? Like even then, it's like, what am I supposed to do, right? And then I don't say anything to them, and I don't say anything to him. Eventually, it's like the same deal. We just kind of drifted apart, and just because of that. It's a brutal reality of just getting mogged by women, right? And losing friendships because basically because I don't have a pussy, right? That's the honest to God truth, right? And then it's like it's an advantage that women will never really acknowledge for the most part, that they can just exist, and they'll have worth because they have an XX chromosome, right? It's honestly something, and because the thing is, the barriers to entry to be a an attractive woman is much lower too, right? It just, I don't even know how I got onto this other tangent, right? But yeah, it's just the truth, right? That's why, like, I know some other guys will say too, right? That's just why it's easier to be friends with other undesirable guys, because that at least you'll have common ground, and at least at the end of the day, a woman won't show up and get in the way of the friendship, right? Because there are no women, right? Because women don't like either of you. That's kind of the brutal reality, right? So I don't even know how I got on that story, going from like New Year's, New Year's and coping, that there'll be a change, right? That today's the day, cope, that somehow life changes, right? That somehow something will change just because a calendar day changes, right? The reality is, at the fundamentals, the constants aren't going to change, right? The constants being your genetics, your face, your bone structure, your frame, the stuff that actually really and truly matters in attraction, right? And it also reminds you, some guys will be, "Oh, bro, just be confident, bro. It's all about confidence," right? But you know, tons of guys will say it too, right? But I liked the way that this one guy put it, right? He put it as the unattractive guys, because they didn't receive validation in their formative years, right? That they don't have the credentials to be confident, right? Because, I like the way that he put it there, because, it is true, right? You can't, and, I've said it before too, right? You can't be confident about nothing, because confidence is derived from competence. If you're not competent at something, you can't actually be confident. People think, they just confuse the words, right? They say confident, but what they really mean is, was it a performative, outgoing, that kind of stuff, that kind of behavior, right? Not really a personality trait of being confident, because you don't have, like I said, you don't have to. The whole uh, significantly below average, what is it, pilot versus Jeremy Meeks as the pilot, right? even that confidence doesn't have to be displayed outwardly, right? You can you can just do your thing, but if you know you're good at it, you don't have to be performative when you do it, right? Like if you know, like I said, yeah, another video. If you know you're a good chef, you know you can just cook your meal and do it well, right? You don't have to be performative to be confident, right? When you're while you're cooking the meal, right? That you don't have to. It's like everything else, right? Like let's say, if you're a good at a sport, right? When you go, perform at a game, not perform at a game. When you go play the sport at a game, right? In a competition, right? You're not gonna do extra stuff, right, and be performative. No, you're just gonna try to win. You're just gonna be good at the base, like excel at an exceptional level at the basic fundamental skills, right? If you don't gotta do some like fancy footwork or whatever, you're not gonna try to do it, just to look cool unless like if the other opponent is a competent individual, right? If it's an evenly skilled match, you're not gonna like risk stuff to like that and be performative just to win. No, and you're just gonna do your best, right? Because that's what confidence is, right? Doing the fundamentals really well and being competent at whatever task you're doing, not being performative and outgoing and doing whatever, which is basically what people are confusing confidence with, right? Just it's just very weird, right? I mean, confidence is not, a. It's not even like, oh yeah, just be positive, bro, right? You don't have to. You can do something like you can be angry and negative and bitter and be a very good chef, right? And still cook the meal. And you'll be negative and angry because you had a bad day, but you'll still be confident and competently cook and prepare a good meal, right? That's just the way it is. It's like people just are just weird, and they just want to change the definitions of words to fit their narrative, right? It's like when they change the definition of incel to change the narrative, suddenly people want to change it to from like involuntary celibate to misogynist, right? Just because it'll fit their narrative, right? They just don't. Right? It's so crazy, right? Imagine if I wanted to change the definition of other stuff, right? Like if I wanted to change the I don't even know which words I can say. Like if I wanted to change the definition of certain like minority groups to mean something derogatory, right? Like, they'd be like, whoa, bro, why are you trying to change the definition? It just doesn't make sense, just say that saying someone is from a certain place doesn't imply anything else other than they're from a certain place, right? But, they'll change the definition and do all weird stuff. It's like they're just, I don't even know. They're more mentally ill, right? And will play, you know, they'll perform like gold level like Olympic level gymnastics or whatever, jumping through hoops, mental gymnastics, to basically to just somehow end up making sure that the undesirable males are always at fault, right? When reality is a lot of the time, people are just victims of circumstance, right? You don't control a lot of the stuff in life. You don't have control over a lot of it because a lot of life is basically just luck and genetics. So yeah, TLDR, New Year, New Me is a cope. The Today's a Day cope, is just like it's in the name. It's a cope. Just because it's a different day doesn't mean that the fundamentals, the constants have changed. At the end of the day, I'm still me, and me is undesirable to women. I always have. Like I said, like I mean, I told the running club stories here, and isn't it weird that none of those girls, I joined the club, and none of those girls were interested in me, but they were interested in the guys that I was friends with, right? Why would those guys want to be friends with me there and talk to me if if I'm such a, fundamentally terrible person, right? It's just because I'm only a fundamentally terrible person in the eyes of the women, right? Because I lack the looks, right? Because that's the bottleneck. That's the limiting factor, right? Why would only some people want to talk to you? Why would but like an entire other group of people would not, right? And the difference there is they just don't want to talk to you because they don't want to give you the wrong idea, right? They don't want to give you the wrong idea that there's a chance for a connection, right? When there isn't. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess more TLDR. New year, new me, new cope, whatever. So later.